OpenTTD is a fantastic free game, and the developers are always bringing us amazing updates, new features and important quality of life improvements. But with a community this passionate, not every change is met equally. Hello there, Master Hellish here, and welcome to the most controversial changes in OpenTTD. Today we're not only going to explore the updates that cause the biggest stirs, but I'm going to show you exactly how to change them back if there's something that do annoy you. Well, except one of them, you're just going to have to learn to live with that one. First up, we have the apparent removal of a number of signal types. This is pretty much what the signals used to look like, and this is what it looks like now. We have two different styles of signals, but we only have two different types of signals. We have a standard path signal, and we have a one-way path signal. Initially, a lot of players were confused by the choice to remove what they felt was a feature that they needed in the game. However, what a lot of people didn't realise is that you don't really need any other signals apart from path signals. For all beginner and intermediate railways, path signals fit all the jobs and enable you to build all the lines and junctions that you need to. It's only when you get into much more advanced railways like priority merges and waiting lanes that you might then need other types of signals. The primary reason for this was to make it less confusing for new players. Why show a whole load of signals to new players that you don't need just to add the extra points of confusion? And this has actually simplified the new player experience and has made it easier to teach people how to play OpenTTD with railways and signals. But what if you want them back, I hear you say? Well, don't worry, there is a game option available for it. If you go into the game options and the advanced section, you can filter for signals. And there, under interface and construction, there is an option for show signal types. You can change it from the default path signals only to all signals. Once you've done this, you can go straight back into your railway construction and your signal selection, and you will have all of the signals available to you in OpenTTD. So my advice, don't stress about signals, just stick to path signals, the standard and the one-way ones, and later if you need the more advanced ones, you can just enable the option and use them to your heart's content. OpenTTD uses base sets for its graphics, sound and music, and version 15 brought a big change to the way that the graphics looked when you installed the game. Now, whilst you can choose different base sets of graphics and sounds to work with, the game needs one to start off with. And up until version 15, this was the OpenGFX, which you're seeing on the screen right now. But watch closely, because as of version 15, the default download would be for OpenGFX 2. And here's OpenGFX 2. Some people really like the change. The colours seem a little bolder, things do seem a little clearer. But also there's a lot of people that didn't like this change. Whether that's because they didn't like the new style or they just got so used to the old one, it wasn't for them. Let's compare the differences quickly. But if the OpenGFX 2 style is not for you, you have no need to despair. From the main menu, go to Game Options and your Graphics tab. Here you can click the Get Content button and download any or all of the four main options you choose. You can also get these out of game as well, and I made a dedicated video all about these base sets. Once you've downloaded these, you can choose between them and even change back to the standard OpenGFX. There we go. Personally, it took a little while to get used to the new graphics, but I think the slight boldness of the colour and clarity is a bit of a win for me, and I will be sticking with the OpenGFX 2. Another change from version 15 was the toolbar drop-down behaviour. When you click on a button on the toolbar, you can see the options available for that toolbar without having to hold the mouse button or do extra clicks. This is different to how it used to be. If you just clicked the button, it would just select the first item at the top of the list automatically. And to get to other items in the list, you had to click, hold down and drag down to the option you wanted. However, that is no longer the case. Whenever you click any of the buttons on the toolbar, you will be presented with the drop-down options available to you. This actually matches the standard behavior in most applications. You don't have to click and drag to go down an options list. So it makes sense for it to be in this way. Personally, I've managed to get used to the new way of doing it, but some people might not want to do that. And don't worry, there is a way to change it. If you go into the game options and the advanced tab, you can look for toolbar, and you will find the traditional toolbar menu selection behavior, and that is defaulted to off. So if we switch that across, I now have to click and drag to get to other options in the list, and if I just click, it will automatically select the thing that's first on the list. For this one, I think it might be worth putting in the effort to learn the new way. However, a lot of people didn't like it, and it is relatively controversial. In a relatively recent update, there was a change to the way that security was done in multiplayer, and this definitely ruffled a few feathers. Normally on your company information window, you would have a button that would allow you to set a password for the company. This feature was completely removed. It was replaced by the ability to invite people into your company. This does remove the need for passwords, and allows you to specify exactly who you want to join in the list of people that is in the server, but the reason why it created a few problems was because there's a few features that you can no longer do. For example, you can't invite somebody to your company who isn't currently online in the server with you, and you can't just have an open company available for anybody to join. However, have no fear. The developers have already added a feature to the game to allow you to have a company open and available for anybody to join. That feature will be coming in the next update, which will be version 16. And there are plans in the works to potentially allow to invite people who aren't online. So they're not done with the multiplayer features yet. New features and fixes are coming up in the next versions. Now, we've had the ability to turn off 90-degree turns in the game for quite a long time. You can see here that this train just failed to go around a corner. There's a 45-degree turn at the beginning of one tile, and then a 90-degree turn between these two tiles. Now, I've always played with the settings so that trains cannot do 90-degree turns. I think it just doesn't look right and they shouldn't be allowed to. However, for a long time, it was enabled by default. Then back in version 14, they switched the flip on this setting. Trains couldn't make 90-degree turns by default anymore. They were forbidden. This actually broke a bunch of the game's AIs, who were used to being able to do 90-degree turns in their station designs. Now, whilst I'm personally in favour of the despicable 90-degree turns being forbidden by default, you have the power to make your own decision. You can come back into the advanced game options and just unforbid them. That way, your train should then be able to go around these wonky corners. There we are. For the next one, we're going back to the main menu, and we're going to be addressing the elephant on the screen. That is the Toyland background. The change to the Toyland background in version 15 was something that a lot of people was not fond of. In fact, a lot of people are just not fond of the Toyland graphics anyway. And a number of people weren't really happy with the graphics being forced upon their face on the title screen. Now, it is kind of the community's fault. There is a game running in the background here, it's not a video recording. And the OpenTTD community runs competitions to see which one will be featured in the different versions of OpenTTD. So you can head over to the Discord to get involved and maybe even make your submission be on the next version of OpenTTD. And the good news is that it's probably unlikely to be chosen for the next version of OpenTTD. So when version 16 comes out, you won't have to look at that checkered green pattern any longer. This next one was less controversial, but a little bit more confusing for some players. When you're in a game playing against AIs or in a multiplayer game, you can go to the company information window. There are two buttons here that used to be present and now are missing. This is the ability to buy and sell shares in the different companies. Now, whilst it wasn't really a feature that was used much by many people, some people were confused about why this feature was just removed. The short answer is really that it didn't really work as originally intended, not properly, and it could be quite easily abused. It wasn't something that could be easily fixed either, so removing it cleanly was the best decision. However, they didn't just take it away and leave us with absolutely nothing. You may have noticed when playing against the AI, there is a brand new button, and that is the Hostile Takeover button. This allows you to just completely take over the company, as if you bought out all of the shares immediately. If you press this button, you get an explanation and an estimated cost, and it asks you if you want to continue. Now, I don't know for sure, but I think the estimated cost is because things can change in the moments between it being displayed on the screen and you actually completing and clicking the button. And if you choose yes, then all of the assets of that company then become yours. I actually did a challenge video where I didn't lay a single piece of infrastructure, and I used this feature to take over the AI companies and build out my own network empire through business transactions alone. One of the classic trolls in OpenTTD is the ability to build railway crossings over the roads of competitors. And whilst you may not get a perfect hit every time, eventually your trains will destroy some road vehicles, damaging your competitor's reputation and cargo flows. Now, whilst it's on by default, a lot of multiplayer servers are choosing to turn off the ability to allow level crossings with roads and rails owned by competitors. Therefore, I can only put rail across a road of which I own. This essentially turns off this sort of gameplay, and some of the fun that goes with trolling your competitors. But is that in the spirit of OpenTTD, the natural multiplayer competitiveness that comes with the game? Or did we give the admins the ability to remove a classic troll from the game? I'm undecided on this one, so let me know what you think down in the comments. And we go back to the main menu once again, because version 15 brought a new layout to this main menu. For me, this was a strange one. I never expected this new layout to be so controversial. To me, all they've done is tidied up the layout of the buttons to make it a nice ordered list. I don't know whether it's for nostalgia reasons or a misunderstanding, but a lot of people didn't like this change and wanted to change it back. And this is one of those changes that you can't change back. And it doesn't look like it's going to be changing back at all in future versions. You're gonna just have to get used to this layout. There has been the occasion where some people have said that they're no longer able to do something that they were previously able to do. But in each of those situations, there's always been a different way to do it. For example, on the main screen before, you could choose your climate for your world generation before you went into a new game and generated it. But you don't need to do that, because when you go into a new game, you can choose your climate right there. And you don't need to modify your new GRF settings straight from the menu, because why would you need to do that when you can just go into a new game and do your new GRF settings, game scripts, and AI settings right from the world generation window, clearly defining what's going to be applied to the game that you're about to do. Maybe people just liked how it was because that's how it was and they were kind of okay with it then, so why would they want it to change? This is another one I'm not really sure about. Why don't you let me know your ideas down in the comments about what you would improve about the main menu as it is today. So those are my most debated changes in OpenTTD. Do you prefer the new directions, or do you immediately switch all of your settings back? Let me know down in the comments. And if you want to see my list of changes for version 15, check out the video linked on screen now. If you've enjoyed this one, please do give it a like and subscribe for more fantastic gaming videos. Thanks for watching, take care, and for now, goodbye.